These days, flat earthers seem to be really exploding in numbers. This all despite, this. But showing photos of space and saying people are stupid and don't understand the world around them won't cut it, as is oftentimes the case. First, let's go into what modern flat earth theory exactly is. Then we'll go into how Christianity and history lessons on Christopher Columbus have been causing a lot of this dangerous misinformation. First, let's dive into what actually flat earthers in today's world believe. Obviously, off the bat, they do believe the earth to be flat. They believe that it is surrounded by an ice wall that doesn't allow anyone to go past. And of course, they view the entire space exploration to be nothing but a large conspiracy theory built to reinforce the fake idea in their minds that the Earth is round. I'll admit, this is one of the few conspiracy theories that just has the plain amount of information directly denying the conspiracy theory. It's astonishing. And maybe I'm not a truther, but there's just a lot of literal photographic evidence of the round Earth from space. But now that we're slightly versed in what modern flat Earth is, let's dive into how it rooted itself so strongly in our modern America. This is For the Future of Us All Conspiracy: How Christianity and Columbus Created Flat Earth Theory in America.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that challenge is hard.
Before we dive into the video, it'd be a huge help if you leave a like and subscribe. Not only does it help us understand what kind of content you guys are looking for, it also helps us with the algorithm. Thanks! So tell me if this sounds familiar. Christopher Columbus sailed away from Spain in 1492, crossing the Atlantic looking for a new trade route west to India, and therefore proving the world to be round, not flat, because he didn't fall off anything. If that does ring a bell, as it did for me, you were told a lie. Well, hey, maybe not a lie, but the information was certainly false. Now for the enjoyment of us round earthers, here's a quick history lesson, told more correctly this time. In the 6th century BC, in Crotone, Italy, Pythagoras, the same man who's responsible for you having to learn that weird triangle mathing in junior high. Anyway, Pythagoras inadvertently, quote, discovered, for as far as we know at least, the earth was round forever. He discovered the earth to be round simultaneously while writing on how the planets and the sun actually rotate around a central force of some sort. So hey, the more history I've dove into, the more I noticed these supposed geniuses over time were often really just like these crazy people who, yelled on the corner, who just happened to stumble upon an idea every once in a while that stuck. Anyway, within 100 years at least, in Greek science at the time, they had a universal belief that the earth was round. Okay, so that's the really, really basic origins of round earth theory, I guess you could call it. But I feel that we have now decently established what's going on here. As in, the earth is round and we've known this for a very long time. Really, where our modern day American flat earth theory comes from is from one Washington Irving. Let me tell you about this guy, he's one hell of a character. He also happens to be the author of 1828's biography, A History of the Life and Voyages of Christopher Columbus. What happened shortly after publication was that the general population, much due to Irving's writing style, took the book as an academic source instead of a novel. And in the novel, Irving embellishes that story with an internal feud between Columbus and his expedition financiers on whether or not the Earth was flat. This never really happened, and here's where the story starts to get very interesting, at least for me. Published in 1919 by Emma Miller Bolaris, I believe, an American textbook by the name of The Boys and Girls, readers again stated that many at the time believed the world to be flat, saying that Columbus had to, quote, fight these foolish beliefs in order for men to sail with him. This is false, and the textbook and many others like it slowly spread the idea through America that, in fact, the Earth is only recently, and from the flat Earth perspective, incorrectly been thought of as a round object. But there's more evidence to debunking that Columbus was trying to fight a theory of flat Earth. 1,300 years before Columbus ever set sail, Ptolemy, another mostly bald Greek dude, wrote Geography, a Roman academic piece where the statement that the Earth was indeed round was included as a fact. And not only had Columbus heard of the book, he owned a copy, and in conversation was much more concerned with the length of his voyage west than he was with the idea of falling off the ocean. Is that what happens? Now that we've set in stone that Columbus was aware of a round Earth being the truth, let's dive into Christianity's play in all of this. Another historical myth, even somewhat pervasive in academic circles, that with the recession, let's call it, of science in the public forums during the medieval or dark ages in Europe, that much of the common population would have believed the Earth to be flat. This idea, I really can't stress enough, is enormously pervasive and enormously impactful, even with the proof to the falsehood so easily accessible. But again, this idea that the medieval ages was a glory day of flat Earth is, again, false. And this can most easily be proven through Christian or Catholic educational textbooks from the time. And this is what brings us to the ancient text written around 673 AD titled The Venerable Bede. In it, the medieval opinion of flat Earth is clearly explained. Quote, "The cause of the unequal length of days is the globular shape of the Earth. For it is not without reason that the sacred scriptures and secular's letters speak of Earth as an orb. For it is fact that the Earth is placed in the center of the universe, not only in latitude as if it were round like a shield, but also in every direction like a playground ball, no matter what way it is turned." Again, there are scientific inaccuracies included in these writings, but one of them is not the flat Earth theory. Because the fact that the colonial and medieval periods in Europe were so religious, flat Earth and Christianity, or Catholicism especially, are perhaps the most strangely connected two phenomenons in the world. And anti-Catholic forces took advantage of this in the late 19th century. With some attempts to pair Catholicism as an institution to the anti-science, backwards thinking worldview of the medieval ages, remember our friend Washington Irving? He's one of the many historians responsible for the spreading of the anti-Catholic myth. To be clear, I'm not pro-Catholic Church or anything. I'm just calling spades spades here. Anyways, historians such as Irving used the myth of this delusional Catholic Church to glorify Christopher Columbus and really white culture in America by way, but that's besides the point. Painting a picture of him fighting this anti-science Catholic establishment for the furtherment of humanity and the furtherment of this new world culture that America now represents, and so do historians such as Washington Irving. Just to note, can we stop glorifying everyone? I'm not saying we shouldn't celebrate accomplishments or great figures within international and national histories, but the embellishment for narrative must end. These humans must be believed to be humans and viewed as humans with substantial and real flaws, or else we're doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past over and over again. Come on. But between this Christian angle and the before-mentioned Columbus narrative, the 20th century in America's education system was teaching an altered version of science that is now returning ourselves to scientific darkness not seen since religious revival movements. This is dangerous and worrying, potentially admittedly, but it's hard not to combine these fears with the combination of conspiracy theories that we've seen with the MAGA and Trump movements since 2016. History needs to be taught right, and people need to understand history at a fundamental level in order for it not to be repeated. That's our goal here, and we'd love to hear what you guys think all about Flat Earth theory, Columbus's connection, and how much you really believe these textbooks and novels to have affected America's way of thinking. And for the future of us all, we better get educated and find solutions.